Hello everyone, Marcus Simmons here, the business professor. Today I'm going to be looking at a Dragon's Den episode, and it's one by Edward Hollands from Driven Media. And Edward is a young guy, as you'll see, and he does really well, makes some mistakes as would be expected. It's hard to get everything right all the time. But I'm going to be digging a bit deeper into this and trying to explain some of the issues behind what you see. So here we go. And in actual fact, what I'm going to start off is that image that you saw just then of walking into an office or a set like this to give your pitch. Very, very nerve-wracking, whether it be in a bank, an investor's offices, or a very staged situation like this. It really can make your butterflies go, and it's amazing how that can impact the clarity of what you're going to say. So what's the way around that? The key thing is to know exactly what you're going to talk about, know exactly what you want to say, and the thing you have to do there is practice. Practice, practice, practice. When you have a good idea of what you want to say, my key tip is to practice in front of some friends or family. And that's going to sound really weird, because what do they know about investing in business? They might not know anything, but that doesn't matter. It's just going to feel weird. And the weirder it feels, that's exactly what you want to sort of use as a way of, you've got to be able to present in a weird, strange, unsettling situation. So believe me, I've practiced lots of times in front of my parents or family, wife, children, whatever. And it does feel weird, but you instantly know when something's working or when it's not working. And that's what you want to know, and refine it, keep refining it till you got it right.
Good morning, Dragons. I'm Edward Hollands, the young entrepreneur behind Driven Media, a business that takes us an overlooked space that's been staring you in your face on your way here today. I would have brought one of our adverts along today, but I doubt it would fit into the lift, let alone be allowed into the den. I'm looking to give you a 10% equity stake in return for a £30,000 investment.
One of the most commonly asked questions I get when I'm teaching students is, how do you value a business? And unfortunately, there's not a really simple, straightforward answer to this. Ultimately, in an investment situation, it's how much are people prepared to pay and what comes out of a negotiation. Having said that, it does have to be something sensible. And to ask for 10%, £30,000, and to give away 10% of your business, what that means is that you are valuing that business at £300,000. So 10% of it is £30,000. So if he had asked for, say, £50,000 at 10%, that would value it at £500,000, 500,000. Or if he'd asked for 100,000 at 10%, that would value the business at £1 million. Now, when you actually come to sell a business in a more structured scenario, typically the valuation will be a multiple of profits. And that's obviously with an established business. But by definition, in this situation, you've got a very young, early stage business. So you might not be profitable yet. So it's all about your potential and other factors which will come into play, which we'll talk about later. But it's not an easy question. Just don't get it madly wrong. Just don't try and ask for a huge amount of money for a tiny equity stake, because that's nothing that annoys investors more than that.
Driven Media turns commercial trucks travelling across the country into mobile billboards. I want to run through a few reasons why truck advertising is a great media space. Firstly, while you're driving or being driven around, you're incredibly receptive to advertising. Secondly, each trailer is seen on average by 55,000 people on a daily basis. This puts our average cost per thousand at 75p, making truck advertising the most cost-effective advertising platform in the UK today.
Now, he's got some bold claims there, hasn't he, about the cost effectiveness of it. But what he mentioned there was the cost per thousand. And this is it's an industry term, and it actually has been around for a long time. So if you were going to buy an advert in, say, a newspaper, you'd be looking to see how many people are going to read that paper so that they're going to potentially see your advert. And you would, but as a way of comparison, you'd expect to pay more, say, in a national newspaper than a local one. And you'd look at the equivalent cost per thousand as a way of gauging that. Is that extra expense worthwhile? And although it is traditional, it applies equally well online. in terms of cost per 1,000 impressions that people see with website advertising, etc. But the good point here is that it shows that he knows his industry, because this is an industry term, and so it clearly shows that he knows what he's talking about from that point of view.
I'm going to give you a model with you, how you might look on our billboards. Thank you.
Edward, it's not a new idea, a new concept. Trucks have been putting this type of fascias on their trailers for many years.
Yeah.
What's different about your business and your idea?
In recent years with technology, you've been able to put GPS trackers on the trailers. All of our hauliers have a contract where they've got to do a minimum of 5 hours a day driving time, 5 days a week. And it's using these GPS trackers that we can monitor them to make sure they're not stuck in their yard for 3 months.
Okay, and have you set the business up?
Yes, it's been trading for 20 months.
You've been trading for 20 months? Wow. And you've been doing this while still at school?
I've graduated from the University of Derby 3 months before I set this up.
You've graduated?
I'm 22.
You're not 22. Are you?
I am, yes. I've got my passport if you need to see.
You're 20.
Okay, well, he's handled that really, really well. He does look young, doesn't he? But he's handled that really well. And obviously, as you can see, it's good to get, a nice sort of rapport, and a bit of humour goes a long way in any presentation. So he's got that really right. But I just wanted to come back to the question that Peter Jones asked, which is a question I always ask when students are coming out with businesses: what is different about yours? And people are often concerned that they might think they've got to come up with something entirely new, and that is really, really rare to be able to do that. Most businesses are like an adaptation. They're taking one idea and doing something different to it. So truck advertising, but he's using technology with the trackers to ensure that the customer is getting good value for money, that the advert is actually being displayed how much he says it's going to be displayed. So a really, really good answer there to an inevitable question. So you've always got to know the answer to the question: what is different about what you do?
22. Wow, you lucky devil. Okay, you've been going 20 months.
Yeah.
And how many trucks have you signed up?
4 trucks. But we've got over 1,000 trailers we can access within 24 hours.
Okay, what have you turned over in the last 12 months?
£18,000.
And out of that 18,000, what's the profit? How do you make money?
So an advertiser would buy a package for 1 lorry for a 12-month period for £7,800 plus VAT, and then it cost me about £5,500 for production, and whatever's left over is the profit for the business.
So you make £2,000 for every contract you sign?
Yeah.
Really good, okay.
When he's saying he's making £2,000 for every contract, what he's talking about there, I believe, from the information that he said, is what's called the gross profit. So when you make a sale, in his case £7,000, he's saying it costs him, every time he makes a sale, it costs him £5,000 to convert that sale into the production and to the actual rolling trailer. So he needs to have a design that is then agreed by the customer, then gets printed and then gets installed on the truck. So all that costs him £5,000, and he's left with £2,000. So that £2,000 is what is called the gross profit. So it's his sales minus his direct cost. So every time he makes that £7,000 sale, he's got that cost to incur. So that's his direct cost. From that £2,000, he then has to deduct all his indirect costs. So, for example, his salary, any other employees, the cost of the offices, software, equipment, insurance, all those kind of things. But I think I think Peter understands that. But it is important to realise about the difference between your gross and your net profit.
Edward, your £7,800 for a big haulage is quite expensive.
A Luton van is less than a trailer.
What's it for a Luton van?
It'd be £5,000 plus VAT.
So expensive. Is that because of the cost of the printing?
Yeah, exactly.
What does that cost you? Let's say for a Luton van.
It would cost me about £1,500 for fully wrapped.
Okay, if you focused on that, you could probably reduce the cost dramatically. I print fabric in Turkey. They charge me $2 a metre, right?
Yeah.
On what material is it printed on?
Weather-resistant vinyl.
So if you source the raw material, You go to a printer who's got a printer of that size.
You just say print it.
Yeah.
I like that idea.
You like the idea?
Yeah.
Good.
Okay, I mean, another nice thing about this guy, obviously open to ideas. So he's got his own setup, which is working. But then you get someone who has some industry expertise and may suggest a better way of doing something, a lower cost option in this way. And it's always good to be receptive to those kind of ideas as opposed to dismissing them, because that shows any entrepreneur must be receptive to better ways of doing things, because that's how you're going to improve your product, your service, and your profits.
Talked about having 1,000 trailers within 24 hours.
Yeah.
But you've only been trading on 4 lorries.
Yes.
Now, what's missing? What's getting in the way of you finding the adverts to put on the 1,000 lorries you can source tomorrow?
It's the lack of awareness.
With the advertisers?
Yes, exactly.
What adverts would you see are the ones that you'd really like to go for?
So insurance, where there's not a physical product, so especially car insurance, because they're going to be right in front of their potential audience.
Okay, have you ever got in front of an insurance company?
I have, yes.
And? Who was it?
Be Wiser and Car Finance 24/7.
Okay, and what do they say?
So Car Finance are considering it for next year, and Be Wiser have said come back to me in September, because we're very open to this idea.
Okay, I like that, and you'll always find with finance companies, insurance companies, all those in that industry from which I come from, that they're in budget cycles, okay? So there's a timing thing going on here with that industry.
That timing thing that she's talking about there is not just those industries, it's many, in fact, probably most industries have a budget cycle, and that could either be dependent on a calendar year or their financial year, and the financial year can be any start and finish point in a year. It doesn't have to just be ending the end of March and beginning in April. But the key thing here is that he's got a really, really good answer about who is your ideal target customer. He knows exactly the kind of customer that he wants and why it's important. Obviously, if they're going to be in a car seeing the lorry, that's a really great audience to have. And one thing that many young entrepreneurs fall into the trap of is saying, well, who's your target market? And you say, well, everyone could use my product, and that's never going to wash. And you can see here the real clear relevance of his target market being people who want to attract their customers who are going to be driving cars. So really good answer there.
So who's in the business at the moment? Is it you?
There is just me at the minute.
Yeah.
But we've got 2 investors about a similar age to myself who are investing £5,000 each for a 10% stake each.
Okay, but other than that, it's you?
Just me.
Okay. Going forward, as the business grows, can you just talk about your projections?
So this year we're aiming to turn over £250,000.
Okay, so your turnover, you're expecting 250,000.
Gross profit would be 120,000. That way.
Okay. So what does the net profit look like in year 1?
Of a 2,000.
Of the 250,000? I'm just trying to get that row of numbers that starts with 250,000 at the top, goes to 120,000 gross profit, net profit.
Sorry, £80,000.
When you're in business, you don't need to know a lot of numbers. But you do need to know the 3 numbers that are really going to make your business tick.
Yeah.
You need to know your turnover, your margins, your net profit. That's what you need to know.
Yeah, Deborah Meaden there. Never one to underhammer a point. But she's right, unfortunately, annoyingly. You really, when you are presenting to investors, more than anyone else, they are interested in those numbers: sales, gross profit and net profit. You've got to know them inside out. You really, really have. So, unfortunately that undermines his position, because it looks like having a great idea, which is a good, really important part of being an entrepreneur, but you then got to have a good business acumen. So that undermines that part of him, unfortunately, with that performance there.
Edward's inability to give Deborah Meaden some basic business figures is threatening to stall his pitch. And now Peter Jones wants to take issue with the valuation he's placed on his company.
Edward, you are asking for 30,000 for 10%.
Yeah.
So you're valuing your business at 300,000, and yet you're valuing the company to your friends at 50,000 because you've just said they invest 5,000 and they get 10% of the company. Is that just because you think I've got more money than them?
No, it was because of their experience. They've actually come through your program.
Have they?
Yes, both of them.
So they're from the Peter Jones Enterprise Academy?
Yes.
Okay, well then I understand why they are worth a lot more than any dragon. But whilst it's lovely to hear that, and I think that's really great, why would you value your business with me at 300,000 and 50,000 to them?
I thought they'd be able to contribute to the business for a lot longer, because obviously they're at my age, so they're going to be working 50, 60 years, worst case, towards the eventual goal.
Are you suggesting it's because I'm old that you don't want to give me too much of your company?
No, I think it was at the stage of the business.
Do you know when you have that term where you sort of, like dig a hole?
Yeah, I've got to stop digging.
Are you feeling that at the moment? Yeah.
He got away with that because of his charm, really, and the fact that he's built this rapport with humour and everything. But normally, there's nothing a dragon or an investor would hate more than someone else being in the business who it's cost them less to acquire the same percentage. So effectively, there's been a lower valuation on the business. But I think he's kind of managed to get away with that with his kind of cheeky, sort of naive answer, if you like. But when the stakes get higher, that won't apply. You won't get that leeway. So a really good example there, where even though he's kind of got a bit of an awkward situation there, he's got through it really with his. He's kind of bought himself some time in the den by his easygoing sort of demeanour and his humour, and so I think he's been given a bit of leeway there, but possibly with his age as well.
I've got to stop.
I like this concept. I think that this is a concept for the future. I think if you'd got really on top of your numbers and come in here with a really concise plan, it could have gone really well for you. But it's too early stage at the moment for me to take you on that journey and invest in you. So I'm going to say that I'm out. But I wish you every best of luck, because I think you are an entrepreneur waiting and you're going to make it happen.
Thank you.
Yeah, so obviously disappointing to not get your first offer, but the thing to remember when if you're seeking investment is that you're never going to get it from everyone that you meet. In fact, you're likely to have to meet many people and present many times in order to get the kind of investment that you're looking for. So expect to get turned down more than you're going to get accepted. But if you get from someone like Peter Jones such great feedback about yourself, etc., take that on board and really sort of be happy with it. That say, right, okay, it's not right for him at this time, and it's not going to be right for many people at any time. So, but he's been very complimentary about me and my business, and take that on board, because it is very valuable to get that, and often people come out of there with the right grilling. So to get that kind of praise is very good, and you should be happy with that.
Edward, my job, I feel, as an investor, is to take this seed of this idea and to really make that business work. Not to become a mentor, a daily mentor running a business. And I think you're still in that phase. So I'm really sorry, Edward, but I won't be investing. I'm out.
Deborah Meaden is unconvinced and steers clear of the advertising offering. Tuka Suleiman has already dished out some business advice. Will he now go one step further and dish out some dosh?
Edward, where do you live?
I live in Derby.
Derby.
That's north.
I know where it is. I am excited for you, and I think you will succeed. But you need intense mentoring. And it's a disappointing you live in Derby, because I would have liked you in my office every day working with us, I would have liked to be your mentor. But it's not going to be possible today. I'm not going to invest in that, I'm out.
Okay, so two people there, two more coming out, and they're both talking about this need for mentoring, and I'll just talk about that briefly because mentoring is a very, very important part of being an entrepreneur, having the right mentors available to you. And no matter what stage, so if you're at university, if you're a student, then often you'll have business incubators, which can work really well, and there are people there specifically for that. But once you get out into the outside world, where are you going to get your mentor from? And keep your eyes open, ask people. Lots and lots of people I've met in business, myself included, are very happy to mentor other people because you feel like you're putting something back, and there's lots of things that can trip you up, and a few words of wisdom at the right time can be really, really helpful and beneficial. So whatever stage you're at, I'd strongly advise that you keep your networks open and never be afraid to ask for help.
Tuka Suleiman keeps his pounds in his pocket and becomes the fourth dragon to walk away from a deal. Jenny Campbell is the youthful entrepreneur's last chance of investment. Will she take his business to the next level or send him away with nothing?
Edward, how are you feeling?
Still a bit nervous.
Presumably you're nervous about walking out without an investment because that's what you came for today.
Yeah.
So look, this is where I am. I sold my business last year, having built it from a very poorly business to a very successful business. And I had a fleet of 4,000 ATMs in the UK and 1,000 in Europe. They're metal boxes. I know how to wrap metal boxes. You are highly investable. I am going to make you an offer. I'm going to offer you all of the money. But for my investment in you, I would want 20% of your business.
I'd be very happy with that.
Oh, that was a quick response. I need to teach you some of that stuff, but anyway.
Okay, well, yes, he's bitten a hand off, hasn't he? And if I was going to criticise any element of this really good performance, that would be it, because obviously when you're in business, you should always try and negotiate a better position if at all possible. Having said all that, I can understand exactly why he's done it. He's gone in there to get an investment. He would have had a walk away position, which is what you always want. So if they'd offered all the money for, say, 50% of his business, then definitely wouldn't take that. Probably he went in there thinking, well, I'll ask for £30,000 for 10%, and if I have to go up to 20, then that's fine. He got that, and after all the nerves and the situation, he just bit a hand off. In reality, if he tried to negotiate, I don't think he would have necessarily got very far. He wasn't in a strong position because that was the only offer he got, and all the other dragons were out. So really, it's almost a matter of principle that you should try to negotiate. But he got what he wanted. That's the key thing. So really, all credit to him. So from that point of view, that brings this to a conclusion. Is a successful one there. Please like the video if you like what you've seen. In the comments, if you want me to cover a particular aspect of business that you're interested in, then please ask the question and I'll see what I can do. And I look forward to seeing you again before too long.